Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your baseball season preview, a video that's just a bit outside from what you might be hearing in the mainstream media because we're going to talk about the rule changes, the changes overall to the schedule for 2023, but most importantly, how it's going to help you find some value and make some money on both MLB futures and throughout the season on a daily basis for the next 6.5 months of baseball action. That's right, MLB opening day is this Thursday, March the 30th. And it's the first time in history that 30 teams will be playing on opening day. It's the first time since 1968 that every team is playing on opening day. So let's jump right in and find some value this baseball season. I'll be doing some of these quick hitter videos throughout the season, my just a bit outside baseball series. And also check out some free plays and best bets on a daily basis on MLB First Pitch, 2 o'clock Eastern, right here on Wager Talk TV. Yet another reason to hit subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts. I did a futures preview show on Tuesday earlier this week, which is still archived here on the channel. There's an additional show on Wednesday as well with more futures talk. I'm going to give you even additional content here on this video. Don't forget, though, the NBA is in full swing. I'm number one ranked in 2023 in the NBA Pro Basketball. Also, the NCAA Final Four right around the corner this Saturday. The NIT Finals Thursday night. So there's still some college hoops. And in fact, the last 2 years combined, I'm number one ranked in both college and pro basketball sides combined. So not a bad time to get an all-sports pass with basketball going and baseball starting. And oh, by the way, since I joined Wager Talk 3 years ago, nobody has won more in MLB totals than I have. Number one in MLB totals as well. So once again, put that together. Number one ranked NBA and college basketball. Number one ranked MLB. Why not get a 30-day all-sports all-access? You know, normally one sport alone is $179. You're getting all three sports for just $199 because I've got an instant $100 discount for you with promo code SM30PASS. SM30PASS. Steve Merril, SM30, and then PASS for a 30-day pass. SM30PASS. Use that at checkout, and it instantly takes an all-access pass down from right under $300 down to just $199. It's normally $299. You get it for $199 with promo code SM30PASS. 30-day all-access from Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. That'll get the rest of the college basketball season, the first month of baseball, plus a full month of the NBA into the playoffs next month as well. Check it out. By the way, red hot, 6-1 run the last 4 nights alone as the time I'm doing this video on Wednesday. And basketball sides up over 111 units the last couple years. Baseball totals number one the last 3 years, up almost 90 units at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's get right into it here. Biggest change this year with the rules is trying to increase scoring. It's trying to increase fan interest by shortening the games. They have a pitch clock and a hitter clock, basically. It'll speed the game up by almost 30 minutes from what we've seen in the minors and in spring training. They have tested these rules in the minors for several seasons, so we have some good data points to work with. But the other thing that increases fan interest is more scoring, obviously. And they do want to increase scoring not only with a faster game, but more importantly with bigger bases. The bases have gone from 15 to 18 inches wide. That shortens the base pass by several inches between every base, including home and first, third, and home. So that'll increase scoring. But what it's going to really do, guys, is increase stolen bases. That'll be the biggest difference we see this season. And also, one other rule I want to point out is that you can only disengage from the rubber twice during a plate appearance, which means the pitcher can only make 2 pickoff attempts at first base or second base during an appearance. If he goes a third time, he has to record an out or it's a balk. The guy will get the next base. So with less pickoff ability, bigger bases, there will be more steals. So let's dig into the data from last year and see which teams that might benefit. And there were 2 teams that jumped out to me that were kind of underachievers last year that I think could be play-on teams this season. And those are the 2 teams that led the league in steals last year. Texas Rangers led the American League and all of baseball. The Miami Marlins led the National League. The 2 teams combined had 250 steals, and they were caught stealing a combined 70 times. In fact, the Rangers ran more than anybody in baseball. The Marlins ran the second amount of times. They had the most steals, but both teams also got picked off at a league high. So it should benefit those teams, both the Marlins and Rangers. And don't forget the Rangers picked up Jacob deGrom as well. Miami also last season had very bad luck in one-run games. They lost 40 games by 1 run. 40 losses by 1 run. So definitely some upside there. The Rangers, by the way, lost 35 games by 1 run. So you have 2 teams that had bad luck in one-run games, which I think is a lot of a random variable. You got to wonder also if they'd had more guys in scoring position, more steals probably leads to more wins. So I think those are the 2 teams from each league that'll benefit the most from the new higher increase in steals and steal percentages, the Rangers and the Marlins. So take a look at them. You can look at their season win total, but just on a daily basis early in the season, might get some value betting on them as well. Let's look at another rule change here. The other big rule change, which I disagreed with at first, I'm starting to change my mind a little bit the more I've looked at the data, and that's the no shift rule. First time in history of baseball in 150 years that they're telling players where they have to line up before a pitch. And now it's never been a problem for the first 148 years or so because everyone played in the standard position because you wanted to have players all around the field, 3 outfielders, 4 infielders, 2 on each side, because the ball could go anywhere, right? And if you were going to overload hitters, the slap single hitters would make you pay. Now with the era of the launch angle and everybody wanted to hit home runs or strike out, teams get away with the shift. And they've done it for several years now. And last year was at an all-time high. MLB teams shifted on 33% of all at-bats. That means 1 out of every 3 at-bats they had the shift on, which of course most of the time was against left-handed hitters who pull more. So they put more guys on the right side of the infield because it's easier to get them out at first. And left-handed hitters saw the shift over 50% of the time, which proves that theory. And we saw a lot of times guys were getting thrown out at first from a short right fielder, which is basically an extra infielder in right field, basically a little league move. In fact, some of the little leagues I've coached in over the years, at the 7-8-year-old league, you were not allowed to throw a guy out from the outfield because they were trying to teach real baseball, and yet the pros have been doing it the last couple of seasons. So I've become lukewarm on this rule change. At first, I was fully against it. I think teams should just lay a bunt down third or hit it the opposite way. If you're not going to have a guy on the third base side, hit the ball that way. So I don't like the shift rule. By the way, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the changes in this year's rules and how you think it'll benefit and if you agree or disagree. But one thing the shift is going to do is make it easier for left-handed hitters to get hit. So teams that have more lefties in their lineup or have star left-handers that struggled last year, those should be some play on teams for you. Now, since I'm doing a quick hitter video here, some content that's just a bit outside, we're going to look at some teams that struggled last year against left-handed starters versus right-handed starters. And now, once again, this is just a quick dive. You could definitely get a lot deeper into the weeds. And of course, one-loss records versus lefty or righties is just versus the starters. And those guys only go about half a game nowadays. But it's still a pretty good starting point to find some discrepancies, some dichotomies, if you will. And there's definitely some teams that jump out to me. In fact, I've got 4 of them for you in the American League, and I've got 2 of them for you in the National League. So let's look at 6 teams real quick that were much weaker against right-handed starters last year than lefties. Now, here's the logic. You're going to bat more lefties against a right-handed starter, right? You always hit the opposite. So teams that had really bad records against right-handed pitchers are hitting more lefties and struggling. They should increase success this year with the shift no longer allowed. 3 of those teams, by the way, in the very weak AL Central, which is interesting because everyone talked about how weak that division was. In fact, the Cleveland Guardians, are the only team that finished above 500. The White Sox finished at 500. Twins, Tigers, Royals, pretty bad seasons. So maybe they'll be better this year without the shift because the AL Central struggled more than anybody against right-handed starters in general. In fact, if you look at 3 teams I'm going to mention here, it really jumps out to you. First of all, the Detroit Tigers, 2 teams I'm going to mention actually. The Detroit Tigers, 46-72 against righties. They were 20-24 against left-handed pitchers. That's a pretty huge difference here. This is a team that was 26 games below 500 against righties, just 4 below against lefties. Kansas City Royals, another team. Obviously, they weren't good. 65 wins, Tigers 66 wins. But the Royals, 31 games below 500 against right-handed starters, 1 game below against lefties. 45-76 versus 2021. Now, I know you see more right-handed pitchers in general, but that's a huge difference still. 26 games less for the Tigers versus 4, and then 31 versus 1 for the Royals. I will mention a third team, as I said, here in the Central, and that's the Minnesota Twins, who underachieved, 6 games below 500. They were expected to be better last year. They were 11 games below against righties, but they were 5 games above 500 against lefties. So that's a net difference of 16 games, 16 wins. So Twins, and especially the Tigers and Royals, should be better this year without the shift. One other team in the American League I'll mention is the Texas Rangers. Second time we've talked about the Rangers, right? We talked about they led the league in steals last year. That should help them even more this season. They also terrible against right-handers last year, 41-66, 25 games below 500, yet 27-28, just 1 game below against lefties. So that's a net difference of 24 wins. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the Rangers, 35 losses by 1 run. In fact, If you look at their expected win-loss record last year, they went 68 and 94. They should have been 77 and 85, as they were only 36 games net difference on run differential. That should have been 9 extra wins just on the blind before factoring in the rule changes, which should benefit them, and the fact they got Jacob deGrom. Talked about that MLB Futures show I did on Tuesday here on WagerTalk TV. The archive is still available. Go check it out. Extra free plays for you for futures. Tony Finn had Seager, a left-handed hitter for the Rangers, as a long shot MVP at 40-1. I like where he was going with that. Seager hit more ground ball outs, more into the shift than anybody last year. In fact, the Rangers' big three left-handers saw the shift nearly like 600 at-bats. Tony Finn pointed that out. Some great data on that Tuesday MLB Futures show here on WagerTalk TV. All right, we're going to get to one more change. Quick reminder, I do have a 30-day special for you. Get an instant $100 discount on a 30-day all-access pass with promo code SM30PASS. SM for Steve Merril, SM30 for 30, and then PASS, PASS, for a 30-day pass. So SM30 PASS, SM30 PASS, instant $100 discount, which means you get 30 days and nights of college basketball, pro basketball, and MLB for just $199. Use that promo at checkout right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Number one this year in the NBA. Number one the last 2 years combined in college and pro basketball sides. Final Four still available. I've got 2 strong Final Four best bets on my page right now for Saturday. NBA on a daily basis. And baseball starts this Thursday. Number one the last 3 years since I joined WagerTalk.com. No one has won more money with MLB totals. Check out a 30-day all-access for just $199 with promo code SM30PASS. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, one other thing I want to mention. This isn't a rule change, but it's a schedule change, and that's the balanced schedule for the first time in baseball history. Every team will play every team. You know, we didn't have interleague play until just recently, just a couple decades ago, and even then it's been very light. It's been very heavy division, very heavy within the league, and then very light interdivision. That's going to change this year. First of all, the intra-league, the non-division games within your league, hardly changes. They go from 66 down to 64, so just 2 less there. The division games really dropped those. 76 divisional games down to 52. Last year, every team would have played their 4 divisional opponents 19 times. Now they only play them 13 times. So that's 6 less games against every division opponent, 2 less home-and-home series, 1 less home-and-home series, 6 less games. But the big increase is with the interleague, NL versus AL, 20 games up to 46 games. The natural rivalries will remain. So Yankees, Mets have to play every year. Orioles, Nationals play every year in my neck of the woods. They'll play 8 times, a 4-4. They'll play 4 times, a 2-2, 4 times. And then they play every other team in the other league 3 times. 7 will be at home, 7 will be away. It won't always be a home and home. It'll alternate. But the thing is, it's very balanced. So the Mets and Yankees only have to play 1 extra game against each other than they would have had otherwise. So it's not a huge disadvantage. But where it's going to really change as far as future wins, and once this is more of a season over win prop thing you might want to keep in mind when you're looking at season win totals, is that the divisions that are going to benefit are the 2 central divisions because, the divisions that are going to get hit hardest by this are the 2 central divisions because the AL Central last year, as I mentioned earlier, had just 1 team above 500. The NL Central only had 2 teams above 500. So 7 of the 10 teams in the NL and AL Central were 500 or weaker last year, and they're going to be playing less games against each other now. They'll have to play more against the mighty East and West. So the divisions that'll benefit are the teams in the East and Western divisions in both leagues. So it's pretty simple. The AL East and the NL East had 6 playoff teams combined out of their 10 teams last year. Just crazy. The NL West and the AL West had 4 playoff teams out of 10. And once again, the AL Central, the NL Central just had the automatic qualifiers, the 2 divisional winners, no wild cards. So the balanced schedule is going to make it a little tougher for the Central Division teams to win. It'll make it a little bit easier for the Eastern teams and even the West, but especially those Eastern divisions that had 6 playoff teams last year. So when you're looking at season win totals, a team like the NL East, the Nationals and Marlins should be a little better. Nationals are pretty bad last year, but the Marlins, once again, a team we'll talk about again. I talked about them with the stolen bases, the close losses, and now they'll benefit from the weaker schedule. And the Rangers, who've come up quite often in this video, also will benefit now from the weaker schedule. So just something to keep in mind when handicapping season win totals is that the East and Western divisions a little bit of a weaker schedule this year. The Centrals will have a tougher schedule after being really bad last year. All right, quick hitter, just a bit outside. We'll be doing this all season long, so hit the bell for instant alerts when these videos go live. I will have a Final Four NCAA Fade the Public video this week as well, so hit the bell, hit subscribe, and don't forget, thumbs up, like if you found this useful. If you're looking forward to the baseball season, leave us some comments below. I read every comment and reply back. Let me know your thoughts on the rule changes, where you agree or disagree. Let me know your thought on the balanced schedule. I think it's great. They play 162 games. They play twice as many as the NHL or NBA, and they've always played everybody. See no reason why baseball can't do it. I think it's going to be great for the sport. I think speeding up the game and the rule changes in general will be good for the sport also. But most importantly, let me know your thoughts on how we're going to make some money this baseball season. Give me your season win props, maybe some season over-under wins, players to win the MVP, AL, NL, Cy Young winners, also your World Series winners. We didn't even talk World Series futures, also your pennant winners. And don't forget, on a daily basis, there's money to be made in baseball more so than any other sport. The last 3 years since I joined the site, nobody has won more in MLB totals. I'm also number one the last 2 years combined in college and pro basketball sides. Not a bad time to get a 30-day all access and get an instant $100 discount with promo code SM30PASS. Steve Merril, 30PASS. SM30PASS. Get you the next 30 days and nights for just $199. Details on my page right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter. And I'm guest hosting the rest of the week, Wager Talk today at noon Eastern here with Teddy Covers. So check that show out as well. Yet another reason to subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts right here on Wager Talk TV. Looking forward to a great baseball season. Thanks for watching. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again soon.